أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الذين ينقضون عهد الله من بعد ميثاقه ويقطعون ما أمر الله به أن يوصل ويفسدون في الأرض أولئك هم الخاسرون
যারা আল্লাহর সাথে কৃত অঙ্গীকারকে সুদৃঢ় করার পরও তা ভঙ্গ করে এবং যে সম্পর্ককে অটুট রাখতে আল্লাহ আদেশ দিয়েছেন তা ছিন্ন করে এবং পৃথিবীতে বিশৃঙ্খলা সৃষ্টি করে, এরাই ক্ষতিগ্রস্ত।
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. We're in the MT International Studios in Bangladesh, and we are joined by Imam Ataul Mujeeb Rashed Sahib, who is the Imam of London Mosque in the UK, and he's also the Missionary in charge of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission in the United Kingdom. Imam Sahib is currently visiting Bangladesh for the annual convention, which is the Jalsa Salana Bangladesh, which happened about 2 weeks ago, and he's also had the opportunity of travelling around Bangladesh, following in the footsteps of his father, Maulana Abul Ata Jalandhari Sahib. Imam Sahib, thank you for talking to MTA Bangladesh.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
As you can see, we have most of the team here who are keen to meet you.
I like the smile on their faces. Huh?
Yes.
That's very good. They are very happy. Very
Alhamdulillah.
dedicated.
Alhamdulillah. Imam Sahib, how has your trip been so far?
The trip is very nice, extremely rewarding, extremely enjoyable, because I always say that when you see something for the first time, it's very enjoyable because you see something new. So for me, I did come to Bangladesh 4 years ago.
Yes.
At that time, I only was in Dhaka,
Yes.
but that was after the Jalsa.
Yes.
And then I attended the regional Jalsa in Chittagong. But this time, I was able to attend the main Jalsa in Dhaka and the regional Jalsa in Rangpur, and visiting so many Jamaats there. It was really very enjoyable to see that, mashallah, the mosques have been built in very remote areas. People are coming there, mosque in their own style, some very simple or big, well attended, and the community is a very closely knit community, and mashallah, they are dedicated to the service of Islam. So in so many respects, I enjoyed it, especially the hospitality. I cannot forget to mention that. It's very difficult to escape the fabulous hospitality of the Bangla people. You know, the moment your plate is empty, without asking, they fill that. And then you have to do something about that.
Yes.
So anyway, it was in so many ways very, very nice. Very good memories. I'm taking it with me.
Excellent. And this, I believe, is your first Jalsa in Bangladesh?
First Jalsa Salana in Dhaka.
Salana in Dhaka.
Yes.
Yes. How was that experience?
That was again extremely very nice. Jalsa was well attended. Representation from non-Ahmadis, dignitaries, that was also impressive, because most of them, they spoke in English, so I could follow that. And on top of that, one thing which impressed me very much was the total dedication of the attendees to attend and to listen to the speeches. Because normally I have seen that in many countries, when the Jalsa goes on, sometimes the people sit quietly and listen and then start standing, walking around and going out. But here I saw that almost to the end, they were, sitting, very attentively listening, some people taking notes. So that was, I think, something very good to be mentioned and as an example to other countries as well.
Absolutely. So we all know Imam Sahib from various different shows and programs he's hosted on MTA since its inception. So one thing we may not know is that Imam Sahib is also one of the members of the board of directors in MTA. This is why we decided to sit with Imam Sahib today, and hopefully the guys who are sitting here today, they will have some questions and it'll be more of an interactive discussion program. So Imam Sahib, shall we take the first question from someone today?
Yes, I may add that I'm at the moment the director translation.
Yes.
There are various directors, members of the board. My responsibility at the time is the director of translation. And it may be surprising for many of you that overall in London we are dealing with 22 languages. Of course, Bangla is one of them, but 22 languages in all. The translation of the programs of the various documentaries is presented. So the whole thing is arranged by and supervised by the translation department.
Excellent. So maybe I can fire away with the first question, just to get the ball rolling.
Yes, please.
So Imam Sahib, if you could tell us about how much have you seen MTA develop over the years since its inception?
Well, you are taking me quite back.
Yes.
It's not only 1994 when it was officially started. Even before that, when the idea was there that we should put ourselves on TV. So in initial stages, I think at least 3 or 4 years back to that, around 90 or so, or even maybe before that, we used to buy time just for 1 hour, 1.5, 2 hours, 3 hours. And some of the jalsas, perhaps, I'm not sure about the dates, but maybe it was 1991 perhaps, when the live transmission of Huzur's Jalsa Salana address was given there. And the Friday sermon also started from the beginning. Initial stages it used to be audio transmission, but then it became visual as well. So slowly, bit by bit, we increased, and time used to be purchased, and we were always fixed by the time, and after that it was off the screen. So that was, of course, the maximum that we could do at that time. But then, Alhamdulillah, on 4th of January in 1994, we were able to launch 24-hour service, and that was a great leap forward in this direction.
Excellent.
And Alhamdulillah, I can say that from the very beginning, I have been involved in the whole project of MTA. I very clearly remember the day when the live transmission for the European country was to be inaugurated. 2 days before, there was a rehearsal program in the London Mosque, and Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Rabi Rahimahullah Ta'ala, he watched the program, the transmission from his residence, and he took keen interest in that one. And the workers, they were setting up the microphones and screens and everything, and then the program started. I delivered a speech, and also Bashir Fiq Sahib, he also delivered a speech. So with these two speeches, the first official live transmission of MTA was started.
Right.
And Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Rabi Rahimahullah Ta'ala was very, very keen and very happy when the result came, because as the program started, very soon the telephone calls started coming from Germany, from Norway, from Spain, from Belgium and other countries, all the European countries. Yes, we are getting it. Yes, we are getting it. So everybody was extremely excited. And so were we, here in London, that for the first time, live transmission was going like this. And after 2 days, then with the Friday sermon, officially it started commencing on regular basis.
Alhamdulillah. Have you had the chance of visiting other studios around the world? And how does the MTA Bangladesh compare with what you've seen so far?
Perhaps not, because I have been to Germany. I have seen some of it. I have attended some of the programs, but that is always during the Jalsa.
Of course.
I have visited America. I have gone to Canada. I once participated in their program. I have visited Mauritius and so many other countries.
Yes.
But I think as this newly built, proper built, independent running television studio that I am seeing for the first time.
Excellent. How do you feel about the studio setup at the
Well,
moment?
I feel very at home, very much at home, because you can see so many workers who are dedicated to this noble task, and you are, I understand, regularly producing some programs in Bangla, and that's, I think, something, a good example for others. Other countries are also contributing. We get a lot of contribution from Germany, from French, from your Mauritius and other countries, from India as well.
Course.
I mean, they are sending it. India, they have got the studio, but I have not been able to see thoroughly. It is in Qadian.
Yes.
Just briefly I saw last time I went there. But Alhamdulillah, it's very nice that I don't know how many volunteers you have got, nearly 30, 40?
That's a very good question. So we'll let MTA Incharge, if you could explain to us how many volunteers you have.
Well,
69 currently, including
69.
69,
Very good, mashallah.
including Leslie Maula.
Very good.
And we
Yes.
have a Waqf now as well, Leslie Maula 11.
16
In the boys, 16 for Waqf now volunteers here, and from
And-
Leslie Maula is 11.
I see.
Altogether is 69 currently we're holding.
69, mashallah. It's
Wow, excellent.
a very good number, very encouraging, and especially the involvement of Waqf children is very, very essential and very useful for them and also for the studio, people, because these are the people who have got a mission of dedication. Actually, the spirit for dedication should be in every volunteer. I mean, all of you, whether you are Waqf or not, but I think always everyone has to work with the spirit of dedication. That is really the object of the whole exercise. But if you have those who are dedicated as Waqf and they come on your list, and then completely they are attached to their performance and whatever is required of them, then it is an ongoing thing for you, and that will become really a very good asset for the MTA.
Jazakallah. Does anyone have any questions first?
আসসালামু আলাইকুম
ওয়ালাইকুম আসসালাম।
আপনি খেলাপথের এত কাছে আছেন, তো আমি জানতে চাচ্ছি যে খলিফাতুল মসিহ রাবে রহমাতুল্লাহ তাআলা এমটি এর যেই শুরুটা কিভাবে করেছিলেন, ওনার উদ্দেশ্যটা কিভাবে উনি শুরু করছেন?
So the question he's asking is that you've been there from the beginning of the inception of MTA, especially Khalifa Rabi Rahmatullah, and he wants to know that what was the intention or what was the ultimate objective for starting MTA?
Well, the thing is that we are living in a period which is a period of technology, advancement in this area, and our purpose is simply and solely and purely to spread the message of Islam by any possible means which is peaceful and which is in accordance with the teaching of Islam. So while this media thing is being misused as well in so many ways, so we have to set our own example, good example, by using it for the purpose of propagation of the message of Islam. As you know that the Ahmadiyya community founded in 1889, since that time the community is dedicated to the preaching of Islam all over the world. So that is done through the newspaper, through the articles, through books, publication, leaflets, meetings, etc. Similarly, in Africa, the radio stations are very popular. But Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Salis, I remember, he was very keen to get a radio station established in any country of the world. But unfortunately, despite his wish and indication, this was not possible at that time. There is, as I say, time and place for everything. So it could not be achieved. But then during Khilafat Rabia, Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Rabi, he was also very keen that we should have some breakthrough into the media so that we can independently, without any restriction, because not like buying the time or requesting the people to give us some time, we want to spread the message, or the request to be made to the radio stations. We should have our own means of communication. So he was very keen, and initially the idea was in the background that Hazrat Khalifatul Masih III, he was keen to have a radio in the beginning, and then eventually it can become the television. But then suddenly Huzur mentioned, Hazrat Khalifatul Masih IV, many times, that we were thinking on that line of radios, but God Almighty suddenly gave us the television, and suddenly this opportunity came through certain televisions in Russia, that we could purchase the time and we can have ourselves present there, because this is very essential in this age. While people are their interest in reading the books is decreasing, leaflets, publications, books, they are useful and they will continue to remain, but their interest is more attached to the media, to the screen. So therefore we have to be present in this section. So he suddenly, came up this idea. All of a sudden he mentioned in a beautiful way once that we were thinking of a small jump to take, but Allah Almighty suddenly pushed up on the ladder, and we were there in the committee of the television world. So that was very good, and he was very happy. And then Allah Almighty opened up the ways. First in local, regional, then European, then limited time, then full time, then the beam was going farther, and then Asia came in, India, Pakistan and Bangladesh and all that, then going to Africa. Now Alhamdulillah, I can say that maybe a very, very small bit in South America is a place where the signal does not go. Otherwise, every nook and corner of the world, we are there. And that is the fulfillment of this prophecy of Hazrat promised Messiah ﷺ, that I shall cause thy message to reach the corners of the earth. So really, this prophecy has been materialized through MTA, and the message of MTA is going to all four corners of the earth.
Alhamdulillah. Excellent.
আসসালামু আলাইকুম।
ওয়ালাইকুম আসসালাম।
ইমাম সাহেবের কাছে প্রশ্ন করতে চাচ্ছি যে বর্তমান খলিফা সাহেব হযরত মির্জা মাসরুর আহমদ উনি এমটিএ কাছে এখন কি প্রত্যাশা রাখছেন বর্তমান গ্লোবালাইজেশনের যুগে এবং সবকিছু অনেক ফাস্ট চলতেছে, তো হুজুরের প্রত্যাশাটা কি ওভারঅল এমটিএ কাছে, এটা জানতে চাচ্ছি।
So the question he has is Huzur Ayyadullah bin Nasir al-Aziz, his expectation of MTA. What is his expectation at the moment?
Well, expectation is really known to him, because whatever he tells or whatever we can feel, we can have an estimate about that. But real expectation is there that we should be the topmost, strongest voice in the world. Because this is the time when the Ahmadiyyat is the voice of the age. The promised Messiah is the person who is speaking to the whole world. And he has been speaking, and the Khalifatul Masih Ayyadahullah Ta'ala bin Nasr al-Aziz is also the voice articulate in this age. So he wishes that the message of Ahmadiyyat should be spread and carried out to each and every human being in their languages which they understand. That is why translation department is so important, and he is always having keen interest in that one, that more and more languages should be included. For example, when he went to western coast of America, there he came to know that there are some Spanish communities who speak slightly different Spanish, not similar as in Spain. So immediately instructed the American Jamaat that you should create the facility of translation into their dialect and their style and particular terminology which they use. And then I think some work was started on that one. Similarly in other countries, So he is very keen that the message, he always says that each and every person, every human being living anywhere in the world has the right that the message should be conveyed to him in his or her language. And we are responsible for that. Huzur's interest in MTA, the development, the progress is so much that every now and then he comes to the studios, comes to the offices, personally examines, personally approves and guides, and even in structural things, this building should be like that, there can be extended, this can be this way, this can be this way. He is personally involved in this thing. Then the meetings with the board of directors are very regular. Huzur not only solves the problem but also gives the further guideline. So he is very deeply interested in the development of MTA. This is something which is very close to his heart. He loves those people who give the work for MTA. Maybe it is the central board of directors, or the workers there, or just part-time workers. But anyone who is attached to the MTA is very close to his heart. And Alhamdulillah, we see that in all the countries there are teams very dedicated, and when they make a progress, I think the person who enjoys most and is most pleased is Hazrat Khalifatul Masih.
Alhamdulillah. Yes, of course.
Imam Sahib, which kind of program we should produce in MT International Bangladesh Studios?
Well, it's a very big question because you have to, this MTA studio in Bangladesh is actually the source of information for all the Ahmadis and non-Ahmadis in this country. So far as the Ahmadis are concerned, Tarbiyat programs, they are the must. Tarbiyat program on that line which Huzur is always asking the Jamaat. So whatever he says in the Friday sermons, for example, you should try to immediately, pick up the point and try to produce something on that line. So that when the sermon is broadcast, within a week or at the most 2 weeks, the members of the Jamaat here, they should be able to see something in their language and answering their questions, solving their problems, and telling them that this is the fresh guidance of Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Ayyadahullah Ta'ala bin Nasir. And so far as the non-Ahmadi people of Bangladesh are concerned, then naturally our programs should be tabligh oriented, and we should be producing such programs. Maybe some question answer sessions taking place here, they can be incorporated. And I know that in Arabic, in Bangla programs already these things are coming. Live phone in programs are there, so you can arrange that, or the programs are held here or in London or elsewhere, you can bring those people in, programs in. Similarly, such questions which are bothering the minds of Bangladesh, they should be picked up in particular. And then you have, mashallah, a strong force of the missionaries here. They should be asked those questions and they should give the answer. So the benefit would be that you will be exactly speaking on that level on which the people would like to have your programs. Because if people are attached to Bangla program in this country, then they should not be bored at all that they are talking in different language, they are just talking on one line and not answering our questions. So they should feel happy that we can ask question, and these are the people who take the responsibility that we are going to answer you. So in this way, it should be the programs just according to the need and the requirement of the Bangla people here, that should be there. For the benefit of the members of the Jamaat, I think that all those points which are mentioned by Hazrat Khalifatul Masih, they should be repeatedly mentioned in one way or the other. And this repetition should be made by Atfal, by Khuddam, by Lajna, by general members of the community in their own circle. They can say that Huzur mentioned this thing, let's do like that. And some program on that line, they should produce that. So this type of program should be there. And of course, in order to create interest in the minds of viewers, Bangla viewers, you have to talk about those things which may be very useful and informative for the Bangla people, about say technology or the agriculture or the finance or other things which may sometime pose a question or a debatable issue in this country. So you can also make the presentation from Islamic point of view, so that gradually MTA should become a voice to which people would be very keen to listen to find further guidance in that. A problem in the country, say, God forbid there should be no problem, but if there is, say, a financial problem, so pick up that financial problem, make a program on that. What does Islam say, how this situation can be tackled? If there is a problem in agriculture or relation with neighboring countries and this and that, so we don't directly enter into the politics of any country, but at least we can present that Islamic view is like that. And this is a point, this is the line which people should follow. So then in that case, the value, academic value and the usefulness of this MTA program will be much greater than before.
ইমাম সাহেব সব মানে যখন খলিফাতুল মসিহ রাবে মারা যান, তখন আপনার অনেক বড় একটা রোল ছিল বা সেটাই ছিল। তো আমি জানতে চাচ্ছি যে মানে আমাদের খেলাফতটা যে আল্লাহ নিজে মানে তৈরি করে দিয়েছেন বা বসিয়ে দিয়েছেন, এই খেলাফতটা আমরা কিভাবে বুঝতে পারি? ওই সময়ের কোনো এক্সাম্পল যদি আমাদেরকে।
So he's asking about the time when Khalifatul Masih Arabi passed away.
Yes.
He'd like to know that obviously you were involved during the Inqilab Khilafat. And he would like to know from you any examples which shows as evidence of that Khilafat is chosen by Allah.
Yes, it's a very important question. Thank you very much for asking. I have been asked this question by several people in so many places, not only in Bangladesh but everywhere I go. People do ask, because I was, it's very fortunate for me that I was a member of the whole system. There is called a Majlis-e-Intikhab-e Khilafat, a committee for the election of the new caliph. So I am the secretary of that. So at that time this responsibility was mine. I always worked as a rule under the instruction of the Nazir-e-Ala. Whenever the Khalifa of the time passes away, then whosoever is the Nazir-e-Ala in Pakistan, Sadr-e-Ajman Ahmadiyya, the chief secretary you can call it, he is the caretaker of the administrative issues related to Jamaat. So this becomes the most important issue. So he has to issue the instruction as to how further steps should be taken there. There are rules and regulations regarding the election, and the secretary is activated, that department which is normally dormant and not even known to the people, that immediately becomes very active. And within a day or so, I mean, it is in full swing, and information is given to the members of the electoral college. They are asked where to reach there, and they come there, and then finally the election takes place. But everything is done in behind closed doors. So the full details are not mentioned, although it is done in a way that all over the world, this time I can tell you precisely, that the people were extremely happy to find step-by-step information as to what is being done. The saddest incident has happened. Now what next? What is being done? What information? What guidance? So all these things were continuously coming on the screen. Now this is going to be, the meeting will take place, where, when, and how, all these things. So that gave a sense of belonging to all members of the community wherever they were. Everyone was extremely sad, you can imagine, and not very sure what is going to happen in future. But they were all, very happy that the full communication line was there, and there was nothing which was not known to the members. That actually also, I may mention here, shattered the vicious plans of certain opponents of the Jamaat at that time. On the media they were spreading absolutely nasty propaganda that this has happened in the community, this is going to happen, and this problem is there, and this problem, just having not at all any substance in that one. So while on the other side the MTA was playing its role, it was giving day-to-day development, progress, procedure, everything was clear. So people could know, and moreover the pictures were coming regularly. For example, the janaza was there, the view of janaza was shown, everything is there, people are coming, gathering, meetings taking place, people are praying, and everything was quite clear. And everybody living in any part of the world used to feel as if I am there in Grayson Hall Road. I am seeing with my own eyes what's happening there, what is the condition there. So that was a great help from MTA, that it shattered all the efforts of the opponents of the Jamaat on this count. The second part is very important, and that's people should know that how to establish or how to come to know that the Khalifa is appointed by God. I can tell you one thing. I have been involved in the whole procedure from the very beginning. So I have not a shadow of doubt about it, that the Khalifa to be appointed is always appointed by God Almighty. It is not the doing of the people. Although openly people can say that, well, there is a meeting of election. Election, in commas you can say, election is there. But I always say that it is, although worldly wise it is called the election, religiously I would call it the selection of God. It's not the election, it is the selection which is made by God, and election, the procedure simply means that the selection of God becomes manifest. That is the only thing, the simplest way to explain that. And the proof of that is that every time the Khalifa has to be elected, right from the beginning, there have been divine signals from God through dreams and visions to his chosen people, indicating who is going to be the next Khalifa. And this has happened all through these 5 Khilafats. The first Caliph, the second Caliph, the third, the fourth, the fifth. And during their period of elections, there were people who were shown some dreams and visions. And they have given on oath in writing that this is the dream, this is the vision which I experienced on that occasion. But they did not tell anybody in public, but just wrote it down or just confided in 1 or 2 people, like the husband with wife or wife with husband, that this is the dream I have seen, but we are not going to mention anything. But just to make the other person witness to that, they would share that. This time as well, so many things happened. I mean, at least more than 250 people, roughly speaking, they were so fortunate that they had this information. And very soon on that day, on that moment, even Allah Almighty showed the indication as to who is going to be the next Caliph. I give you 2 examples that will make it very clear. Have you ever heard any example before? No. Okay, that will be something new for you. Well, the first example is that without mentioning anybody's name, while everything is recorded, now a complete book has been published, about 800 pages, in which the dreams and the visions of the people on the occasion of the election of all the 5 occasions has been recorded on oath with their name, signature, and with the dates, everything, that I saw this, and exactly it happened. In this case of Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Khamis Ayyadahullah Ta'ala bin Asl Aziz, just 1 day before, from one country, a person whose name was on the Electoral College, he was traveling to London. He was first time on the list of the voters, because there is a rule as to who can be there. So I mean, it happens only when the occasion arises. So his name was there. He was intimated that you have to come. He traveled. He was traveling in plane, say 37,000 feet high in sky, and he was very disturbed, very gloomy, very sad, and also very much disturbed as to what role he has to play. He doesn't know anybody except few people in the Jamaat. So whom I am going to vote and what will happen there, I don't know. He was very much worried. But as an Ahmadi, very devout Ahmadi, the only thing one can do is to pray to Allah Almighty. So he fervently prayed to Allah Almighty, dedicatedly. He mentioned to me. And when he prayed, continuously prayed for a few hours, then suddenly he was told something. And he took a piece of paper from his pocket, wrote it down in the plane on that day, this time, I heard this thing. And he wrote the name and folded it, wrapped it, put it in an envelope, gave it to the person, the Sadr of the country, who was traveling in the same plane, that you keep this envelope in your pocket, and just when I ask you, then you open it and show it to me. They arrived in London. Next day was the election. And when the election took place, and obviously everything went smoothly, and the election was done, when the bath was taken, finished, everything there, that gentleman asked the president of the Khudamul Ahmadiyya, standing in the mosque, that you are standing at this sacred place, and I request you to kindly bring out that envelope and show it to me. And there were some other people as well. And the envelope was opened. The writing was there in small. I have got a copy of that with me in my office. It was written that on such date, such place, at this time, I heard this voice, Mirza Masroor Ahmad. The name was clearly given, but nobody mentioned to anybody. And when it all happened, only then it was disclosed like that. Witnesses were there, other person was there, and himself the witness. When he mentioned to me, can you give me a copy of this writing which you wrote at that time? He gave it to me. So that is on record there. So this one example. The second example is of a couple. The wife was in a European country while the husband came to just be present at the time of the election of the new caliph. So he was somewhere finding a place on Grayson Hall Road, because Grayson Hall Road, Melrose Road and Pulborough Roads and the other roads, they were all closed by police, no traffic, and about 11,000 people, they were occupying their seats on that road. It was quite dark, quite cold as well, because it was quite evening, At that time, all the people were offering the prayer after Isha prayer, Maghrib and Isha. Then they simply waited there, very quietly praying to Allah Almighty. And while inside the mosque, the proceedings started. So at that time, the lady in a European country, she called her husband. He was on the Grayson Hall Road, sitting among the people who were waiting outside. And she said that suddenly, at this very moment, while the proceeding is going on, I have seen a dream. And I am very surprised about that. What is that? And she mentioned the name, that this person, the name is indicated there. But before that, he indicated how it happened. She said that I have just seen that the meeting is going on. She was in a European country, not in London. So she said, I have seen the dream that in the London mosque, as if the meeting is going on, and a very dazzling light has suddenly appeared in the sky. And it started coming down, step by step, lowered like this. And finally, it came and stood right on the top of Masjid Fazl for a moment. And then the light went into the mosque. And into the mosque it entered, and then entered into the chest of a person. One person, the whole light disappeared into his body. And I was given the name Mirza Masroor Ahmad. This is the vision which she saw right at that time when the proceeding was going on. And nobody in the world knew what is the outcome, what is being done there. And the gentleman outside, when he listened to that, he said that I do not know any person of that name. The wife said, I also don't know, because his name was not so famous. Hardly few people in Rabwa knew him, but majority of the people outside, they did not know him. So both denied that we do not know who this person is. And but Allah Almighty chose them who did not know the person to be the witness of this great news. So anyway, when she called her husband, and the husband was sitting outside, and he said, no, I don't know, you don't know, and this vision, God knows what it means. Suddenly there was crackling sound on the loudspeaker. And that was the moment when announcement was going to be made. And as you know, I was fortunate to make that announcement at that time. So when I made the announcement, then his wife said, this is the one, this is the name I heard, and this is the person. And immediately after that, when she had seen that dream, within a few minutes, the announcement was made there. So before that, nobody could estimate, nobody could guess, nobody could speculate as to what is going to happen. And that light, heavenly light, was as if filled the whole body of Hazrat Amirul Mu'mineen. And that was the choice. This is what I said earlier on, it is the divine selection. It is not the result of election. So it's a subtle difference between the two. So we are very confident, 100% confident, more than that, that the Khalifa is always and always selected by God Almighty. Selection is already there, but Allah Almighty makes manifest this selection, and that is, in worldly term, is called the election.
I have a question.
Yes.
So we watched during the inception of MTA initial days, Khalifa Rabi constantly recording programs every day,
yes,
non-stop, as in back-to-back programs, just to fill the hours, because it was 24 hours channel.
Yes.
If you could share with us some memories of that time.
Well, that's very interesting. And I personally witnessed to that one, that Huzur was very keen. And because there were some people who were somehow doubtful as to the success of this venture. Some people were saying very quietly between their friends and here and there that, well, the Jamaat has embarked on television. It is not something for us. It's very expensive, bargain, sort of, maybe they did not say, but actually they wanted to say that the Jamaat should not have ventured to go to this field because it's going to be very, very expensive. And what is the benefit of that? Who is going to watch this program? So in the context of this, Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Rabi, rahimahullah ta'ala, he was fully convinced that this is the right spiritual weapon of preaching that Allah Almighty has granted us. But we have to make it very interesting. Not such programs which are thoroughly of the interest of the Ahmadis. That is why on MTA you see all types of programs. The press point is one program, technology, agriculture, scientific invention, this and that. All types of programs are coming because all people can benefit from that. So in order to disprove this suspicion and doubt and reservation of some of the people, Hazrat Khalifatul Masih himself started organizing the programs. Like for example, Liqam al-Arab. That was a very special program which he started for the benefit of the Arabs. Arab world, you can say, not only in Middle East but all over the world. Then he started Urdu class. That was also very interesting. So much so that even grown up, elderly people, they used to watch and enjoy the class, the informality, and the person of Khalifatul Masih became so close to the people. And everybody enjoyed. And especially when our Ado Sahib, he became the member, and some others, Russian and others. Bada Bacha, yes. He became the member of that, and Huzur is reported to have said once that the day Ado Sahib learns Urdu, it means the whole world has learned Urdu. Because it was very difficult for him because of his age and because of his temperament. So there is one interesting thing about him I may mention, that once the classes used to begin always on time, because punctuality is very essential. One day it so happened that Ado Sahib was delayed. So he was somehow stuck in traffic. So he was very much worried that when I will open the door of the studio to go inside while the class is going on, Huzur will ask me, Ado Sahib, where have you been? You have late and this and that. So what should I say? He didn't know what to say. He asked somebody, a Pakistani friend, that today, sorry, I'm late. So when Huzur asked me that what has happened, so what sentence should I say in the beginning? Somebody taught him that you should say, Huzur, main bahut sharminda hu. Huzur, I am very sorry. So this sentence will explain your situation. Huzur, main bahut sharminda hu. So he tried to memorize it. Huzur, main bahut sharminda hu. Huzur, main bahut sharminda hu. Bahut sharminda. He repeating this word again and again. He finally came to the door of the entrance. And as soon as he opened the door, Huzur asked him, Ado Sahib, what happened? He replied, Huzur, main bahut samundar hu. Samundar means sea. So he confused the word sharminda with samundar. So he said, Huzur, main bahut samundar hu. So Huzur laughed, like anything. And he said, Ado Sahib, you are samundar? He said, Huzur, main bahut samundar hu. Huzur, main waqai samundar hu. Something like that. He said, Huzur really enjoyed it, and the whole class was laughing at that time. I can say maybe the whole world was laughing at that time. So anyway, Huzur's personal interest actually made MTA the most popular channel. And he spent a lot of time for that. He used to guide the staff members, that make it informal. Don't too much stand on, as they say, ceremonies, not ceremonial show off, not like this, but make it very simple. Sitting posture, talking way, and this and that. He himself was the example. Sometime, he would come, and in his ashkan there are some toys, for example, for children. So right while the recording is going on live, he would put his hand in the ashkan and bring the toys and give to the children. Some food is there, he would be serving to the people, asking to tell some jokes. He himself would share the jokes. So in this way, he made so much interest in the programs of MTA that it really became so much popular among the Ahmadis that the number increased immediately. And people realized that yes, this is the way the communication should be between Khilafat and the members of the Jamaat. Huzur also started the question answer session, directly live phone call, so people could ask. That was again something great, to directly speak to Huzur. Then he started question answer in Bengali, then in French, then in German, then Urdu, English, and question answer sessions downstairs in Mahmud Hall in Urdu and English. So many programs. Huzur was personally giving so much time for that. And exactly that we see in the life of Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Khamis, Ayyadahullah Ta'ala bin Asl Aziz. He gives lot of time for MTA, children classes, Waqf-e-No classes. Huzur pays very special attention to the children of Waqf-e-No scheme. Those who are dedicated their life for the service of religion at that young age. Huzur has got a very soft corner for these people. And they also have the responsibility in return that they must come up to the expectation of Huzur. So this is how the early days were very, very, very enjoyable. So if I can share with you something more, in early days the equipment used to be very, very small and very humble. I mean, now, for example, you are using modern lights. They don't generate heat, and you are quite comfortable. You get the light, but not the heat. But in early days, garden lights used to be used in the studio. I remember those. Just one room without any window, because there should not be any noise coming in, and the garden light is on, very powerful, and the inside temperature of the room is very high, and the poor presenter is made to sit in a place, and the man on the camera would leave the room. He would go out. He would not be subjected to that heat. He would go out and he say, you go on talking for 1 hour, whatever you have to talk. And most of the time, you know, I was in that situation many times. They just left me there. You can talk anything, no paper, no writing, no notes. Go on talking for 1 hour. And just 5 minutes before the end of the program, the person would come and control the camera. And this used to be there. One very interesting thing is, once I sat just like I am sitting here, and there was a flower pot put just behind me as a decoration. Normally they put a couple of flower pots here and there. Nowadays perhaps you don't put, you don't need that. In those days there was one pot right behind me. I did not realize, but with the turning of my head, I was touching the flowers and the branches, but I did not realize this one. So I continued, you know, as normally people turn the head to this way and that way. So I was doing like that, and nobody was there, and program was going on. What I discovered later on was that during the course of the program, when I was turning the head this way and that way, it was constantly disturbing the flower pot. Finally, flower pot tilted to one side. I did not realize what has happened. I continued talking like that, and after a couple of minutes, the flower pot fell down. So the whole thing was on there, on the camera, and the whole world watched it. They must have been laughing there. But only after the end of the program, somebody told me that this has happened there. So it was very nice early days, very difficult as well. Once it so happened that in Ramadan, we used to get 2 hours for Huzur's Darsul Quran. So Huzur very quickly, Huzur thought that it is only perhaps 1.5 hours. So Huzur squeezed the subject and finished the whole dars in 1 and 30 minutes. Clock was right in front of him. So when he hastily finished the dars, and he said the man on the camera that, look, I have finished the dars exact on time, so it will be all right, 1 hour 30 minutes. The reply was that, Huzur, we have booked time for 2 hours. So it means that we have another 30 minutes, so you can continue if you like. But Huzur said, no, now I have completed the dars, that is finished. But he said, then, Huzur, what should we do? Huzur said that, what will you do in 30 minutes? The gentleman said that, Huzur, I will ask Imam Sahib to come and speak for 30 minutes. And that is how we can utilize the time. So Huzur said, yes, this is okay. So ask him to come and you continue for 30 minutes and like that. But then it was too much for me to just speak, you know, without any subject in mind. But I had a good idea. There was an Englishman who sat for itikaf for the first time. So I immediately spoke to him. Are you ready to come with me to the studio and express your experience as your first itikaf? He said, yes, I am ready. So I took him there. So we started together, and I asked the question, he started replying. The controller informed me that the program is finishing and you have got some more time, and still the time is not finished. So what are you going to do after that? He suggested that you better do it in this way. Ask the question in English, let him answer, and then translate that into Urdu. So you will spend some more time and it will fill the gap of 30 minutes. I received the message and I started doing that. So that was exactly in 30 minutes. The gap was filled, the program was over. That is how we did it. So very interesting experience of that.
So I'm keeping an eye on the time we have.
Yes.
Namaz is at 6:15. 6:15. So we have just about under 5, just over 5 minutes. আপনার প্রশ্নটা কি অনেক লং প্রশ্ন?
আমি জানতে চাচ্ছি যে আমাদের টেলিভিশন নাম আহমদী টেলিভিশন না হয়ে এমটিএ কেন হলো, এটা পিছনে কোনো কিছু জানার কোনো মিরাকল কোনো কিছু আছে কিনা?
His question at the moment is basically he's interested to know how the name MTA International came about. Why wasn't it just called Ahmadiyya Television? Why Muslim Television Ahmadiyya?
I think a name was suggested and Huzur approved it, and some people also read this word MTA later on when the name has all been given, that it is also an abbreviation of Mirza Tahir Ahmad, MTA, but actually it was MTA International, that is the Muslim Television Ahmadiyya International. So that appeared to be a most comprehensive, because if you put it as Ahmadiyya Television, people will say, well, it's a limited scope, and people, in most of them, they won't understand. And if we don't put Islam, then the non-Ahmadis may play it up, that look, they are not Muslim, they are presenting something different. So I think it was most appropriate, and Huzur very wisely and very kindly approved.
Yes.
Okay, your question you wanted to ask?
Yes, so the final আপনার কোশ্চেনটা কি ছিল?
Assalamu alaikum. My question is, ISIS is a new name over here. So Bangladesh has some activities regarding the ISIS for certain young generations. So how come MTA can be the way to prevent these things up?
So we can mix this question up. So his question is basically saying ISIS is a... So Imam Sahib, the one final question we have for you is basically, what advice would you have for the MTA members, especially in this day and age when there's so much anti-Muslim propaganda going on, such as ISIS and all these people giving such a bad name to Islam? What responsibilities do we have as MTA members, and what advice do you have for not just the MTA members, also the Waqf and all members within MTA going forward?
Well, there are two parts of this. The first one is the responsibility of the MTA workers as a whole. I would say that you are the people who are working in MTA in Bangladesh. A very important role is there for you to play, because you are the defenders of faith. You are the ambassadors of Islam, Ahmadiyyat in this country. All the Ahmadis are like that. And the members of the team of MTA, they have to work very hard, very dedicatedly, and thoroughly for this noble objective to be achieved. Because this is one of the best method of putting across your views to the people in any world. Because television has become so popular in every part of the world that people are addicted to that one. So we have to change their minds and present the programs in a beautiful way, quality wise and content wise. In every respect, we have to make such programs that people are automatically attracted to that one, instead of watching obnoxious programs, dirty things and this and that. They should say, well, this is something much better. It gives us the guidance, it gives us what we need, and in this way these people should be hooked to MTA. And this is the point which Huzur has always been mentioning, that for the tarbiyat of your own children, you hook them to MTA. And similarly for the non-Ahmadis, to bring them to the message of Ahmadiyyat, the real Islam, the best thing is that they should find such interesting programs in MTA that they are compelled to watch that, and they can't live without that. So that is my advice to all the workers, mashallah, volunteers here, to perform their duty as a religious duty, religious obligation, very dedicatedly, very sincerely. And as you know that I have lived in Japan, the people over there, when they get an employment or they dedicate their services to a department or association, they use a phrase that now I am wedded to this organization. They take it as if the relationship of husband and wife, this marriage sort of bond is there. So they feel that we are married to the company for which we are working. So that sort of spirit, in the pure sense of the term, that should be taken by all the volunteers. And so far as the Waqf and all children is concerned, I would say that they are the people who have accepted and honored the wish of their parents to be dedicated for the service of Islam. So now when they are coming up, there is a stage in the life of every Waqf-e-Nau child when they are asked to reconfirm of their own the desire what their parents expressed before their birth. So all these young children of Waqf-e-Nau who are here, they should see to it that when they are asked that do you want to continue for this MTA, a job that has been allocated to you, then they should be more than ready, fully committed and sincerely attached to this task, that they can say, yes, this is our line and we are going to do it. Huzur is very keen that more and more Waqf-e-Nau children should come and become the part of it, because they are the dedicated people and they are the people who are going to be a great asset for the Jamaat in future, because they would be dedicatedly doing this job here. And in young age, when they are able to get the experience and knowledge and expertise and all these things, then of course they would in future be the people who will be running the whole studio here in this country. So I would say that the Waqf-e-Nau children, they should be very, very sincere and dedicated in this matter. And that is actually performing the task of tabligh and tarbiyat and talim for the whole country. So it's a very noble job for which you are working, and you should really take it very seriously. May God bless you and enable you to offer your services in a spirit of dedication. Thank you very much.
Ameen. Finally, Imam, so we have a small gift from you for you, which I believe MTA Incharge will present to you.
Before that, I want to request the humble request on behalf of the MTA International Bangladesh Studios.
Yes.
So remember us in your prayer and convey our beloved salam to Zur Anwar.
Okay, inshallah. Inshallah, I will do. And I will convey the salam and also I will remember in prayer.
We are very, very grateful to Hazur's, the heavenly blessings and help to Bangladesh Studio as well.
Yes.
And we are now at this stage because of his direct guidance and all the instructions he has given to us.
Yeah.
And inshallah, we are trying hard to our best to, for the cause of Islam and for the cause of Ahmadiyya, for the cause of all aspects actually. Yeah. So we request you to remember us in your special prayer as well.
Inshallah. I will do that, and I am very hopeful that all of you working in the spirit of cooperation and dedication, inshallah, will take the progress of the studio to a much, much higher level. And inshallah, there will not be only one studio, maybe tens of studios in the whole of country, maybe more than that. Okay, let's please join prayer. Ameen.
It's a small gift for you and your wife from MTA.
Jazakallah.
So this is a remembrance of.
Okay. Jazakallah. Jazakallah.
La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. 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 La ilaha il মুহাম্মাদুর রাসূলুল্লাহ লা ইলাহা ইল্লাল্লাহ মুহাম্মাদুর